Have you ever stopped to think about the fact that you were alive for years and you remember none of it? Like, not a single thing. You were breathing, crying, learning to walk, probably making everyone around you absolutely exhausted. And yet, completely gone. Zero. A blank. Why? That's what we're talking about today. And the answer is way more interesting than you'd expect.
Okay, so the obvious assumption, the one almost everyone makes, is that babies just can't form memories yet. Like, the brain isn't ready, nothing's being stored. It's basically a hard drive that hasn't been plugged in yet. Makes sense, right? Wrong. Here's what researchers actually discovered when they started studying infant memory properly. Babies are forming memories constantly. Like, constantly. Studies have shown that infants as young as 6 months old can remember specific faces, sounds, and even simple sequences of events for weeks at a time. 6 months old. They're not just blank slates floating around. They're actively absorbing everything, storing information, recognizing patterns. So if babies can form memories, why can't you remember being one? That's where it gets really interesting.
The real answer comes down to one part of your brain, the hippocampus. Think of it like the brain's filing system. When something happens to you, the hippocampus is responsible for taking that experience and turning it into a long-term memory, something you can actually retrieve later. The problem? When you were a baby, your hippocampus wasn't finished being built yet. It's one of the last parts of the brain to fully develop. And until it's properly online, which happens somewhere around age 3 or 4, your brain can form short-term memories just fine, but there's no permanent filing system to store them in. So the memories form, they exist for a little while, and then they just dissolve. Like writing something in wet sand right before a wave comes in. The experience was real. The memory formed, but there was nowhere for it to go. Scientists call this infantile amnesia. And it's not just humans. Almost every mammal with a hippocampus goes through the same thing. Baby rats, baby monkeys, baby dolphins. We all start life with a gap. Okay, but here's the part that genuinely got me when I was researching this. It's not just about the hippocampus. There's a second reason you can't remember being a baby, and it has nothing to do with brain development. It has to do with language. Here's how it works. Most of the memories you have as an adult, the ones you can actually sit down and tell someone about, are what researchers call episodic memories. And it turns out, episodic memory is deeply connected to language. To remember an experience in a way you can retrieve later, your brain needs to be able to label it. Without words, without the ability to say, this happened, and then this happened, and I felt this way, your brain genuinely struggles to encode experiences into long-term storage.
And when you were a baby, you had no words. You were experiencing everything, every sensation, every emotion, every moment, without any language to attach to any of it. Which means even if your hippocampus had been fully developed, you still might not be able to remember it, because you had no way to file it. Think about that for a second. You lived through years of experiences that your brain simply had no system to hold on to.
Okay, so here's where it gets philosophical and a little uncomfortable.
If you have no memories of being a baby, no continuous thread of experience connecting you to that little person in the photos, were you actually you? The you that exists right now is built almost entirely from memory.
But there's a whole chapter at the beginning that's just missing. Was that you? Or was that just a different person who happened to be living in your body before you showed up? I'm not going to answer that. I don't think anyone can. But here's what makes it even weirder. The reason you can't remember being born isn't actually that unusual, because your brain is doing the same thing right now. Not as dramatically, but constantly. Research on adult memory shows that we forget somewhere around 70 to 80% of our daily experiences within days of them happening. Most of what you do, see, and feel on any given day just evaporates. Your brain is incredibly selective about what it keeps. It holds on to things that are emotionally significant, things that repeat, things that connect to something it already knows. Everything else gets quietly deleted. Which means 10 years from now, you won't remember most of today either. Not because something is wrong with you, because that's just how memory works. The gap isn't just at the beginning of your life. It's everywhere, all the time. The difference is, when you were a baby, the whole system was just getting started. The filing system wasn't ready. The language wasn't there. Now the system is running, but it's still choosing what to keep, and most of it, gone. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If most of your life is going to be forgotten anyway, if your brain is constantly editing your story down to the highlights, what do you actually want to make sure gets remembered? Not by anyone else, by you. The experiences that stick are the ones that meant something. The ones charged with emotion. The ones you paid actual attention to. Which is maybe the most practical thing brain science has ever told us. Pay attention. Feel things. Show up. Because your brain is taking notes. It's just very, very selective about which ones it keeps.